So greetings, everyone. Welcome to the NYU Masters of Executive Coaching and Organizational Consulting info session. Really appreciate everybody tuning in and showing up today. If you could all do me a favor and make sure to put your screens on mute, just because I'm getting some feedback. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. So to get us started, before we get into it, first I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Woody Woodward. I am a clinical assistant professor of executive coaching and organizational consulting, and I'm also the program lead for ECOC. So welcome. And since I think we have about 9 or so folks on here, what I'd love to do is just a quick round the Zoom just to say hi and get a sense of who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to jump to full screen. If you could just give me a quick name, where you're coming from, and what your interest is. So how about I start with David, since you're right there, top left.
Good morning, Dr. Woodward. I'm David Cooley. I'm a career coach, actually the director of alumni career services for UCLA Anderson School of Management. And I do executive coaching with the Leadership Development Institute, which is based in the Bay Area, mainly remotely.
Great. UCLA. So we have Jen, who's from Southern California. So great to have you, David. So Morgan, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Petkovich. I am currently a lawyer. I practice sports and antitrust law at Skadden Arps. And I have for several years now, but I have been considering a career shift and change for a few of those years. And recently I came to a conclusion that I was willing to quit the law and I want to pursue executive coaching. So you can understand how thrilled I was to find that NYU, the city I live in, has the first executive coaching master's program. So
yeah, definitely. And I really hope.
Hi, Bruce, if you could put yourself on mute. Can I mute? Okay, there we go. Thank you. The wonders of Zoom. Well, Morgan, thanks for coming here today, and thanks for your interest. Skadden, phenomenal law firm, obviously well known, and then congratulations on making that transition away into more civilized life.
I'm really excited about it.
Carmel, is that right?
Yes, it is Carmel. I am Director of Human Resources here at NYU. This is one of the newer degree programs being offered by NYU SPS. And like the young lady who just spoke, I'm also thinking about how can I leverage some of my experience into maybe a new sort of field of work. So very interested when I had seen this. I said, isn't this interesting? Instead of dealing with supervisors and managers, maybe I can deal with them in a different way and give them some insight on the organization. But anyway, I'm here to learn and so excited about this opportunity.
So Carmel, which school are you in?
I'm at Wagner.
Wagner. Okay. So one of our, we have a Wagner grad.
I was going to say Corey Faraday. That just seems like an interesting name. But yes, go ahead. You have a Wagner
I know
grad.
also Nicole Howell, one of our administrators. And just so you know, you won't be alone. We have 2 graduates from our first cohort, Katie O'Brien, who is Associate Director of HR for the Bopes Library, and Deb Caesar, who is an HR manager there. So we have some good friends, as well as we have Wendy Boyce, head of HR North America for Colgate-Palmolive, and Jasmine Rodriguez, who is head of HR for CBS Viacom, and she changed divisions recently. She was BET, but I cannot remember which one she's gone to now. They're quite large, so they have.
I'm so sorry that I'm still wearing my Halloween hat. We're having an engagement. We're having an employee engagement event here around Halloween. I apologize.
Do not celebrate. It's Halloween weekend. All right, so Carmel, thank you. So Beth, how about yourself?
Sorry for the delay. Carmel, I love your hat, so I appreciate it. I also work for NYU. I work at the Stern School of Business, and I oversee the careers programming. So not unlike David on the Anderson side, Reggie is one of my close companions in this work. I have a master's degree in social work. I've been out of graduate school for a very long time, and I've been looking at this program on and off since it was started. One of the women on my coaching team, Fatim, is in the program right now. So really just interested in learning more about it. And, I think like Morgan, also interested in how this, I think we've all come to a career inflection point over the past 18 months. And how can this be a pathway towards something new and different down the road? And also really inform the work that I'm doing day in, day out.
That's awesome. And by the way, Fatima is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal
amazing.
human being. Oh, what a great steal you guys got from Awesome. And
I know. We're very lucky to have her. And she's been generous enough to say, go to the webinar and then I'll answer any question you have. So thank you. It's nice to be here with my fellow NYU employees too, Carmel. So.
And I have a Stern student who snuck into one of my classes for this semester, and she's done great.
Oh, that's great.
We
Excellent.
are on the Stern radar. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm steal from you guys.
Good. Yeah, of course. Please. Thank you for hosting.
Kathleen.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm not quite sure why the video isn't displaying. So I did for a few minutes and it went away, but I thought if I fiddle too much, I'll go completely away. So
It's okay.
I use Zoom all the time, so I'm a little perplexed, but my apologies. I am a career and executive coach. I work for a professional services firm. I work with mid to late career professionals. Individual and group coaching around leadership development and career transition. I've been doing this for about 12 years, but haven't really had, I mean, I take training and I belong to professional associations, but I really haven't had a deep dive into, a more structured or, well-informed maybe background in this, and also would like the credentials. So that's why I'm exploring this at this time.
Well, that's fantastic. And I also have a professional services firm background. So that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. And if I can get the video going, I will appear. So
it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Charlotte, how about yourself?
Hi, yes, apologies for my camera as well. I'm having issues. But we're gonna roll with it. Hi, everyone, I'm Charlotte. I'm based out of Brooklyn. I've held a variety of HR roles within Google for the past 13 years, from internal communications to HR business partners. And now I manage a sort of portfolio of internal employee-facing programs. And in my role, I do a lot of sort of consulting and indirect coaching, and I really enjoy it. So I'm just curious about this program and excited to be here. So thank you.
No, well, thank you for being here. So Grace, and I know you had almost jumped on earlier, so good to have you here. Grace?
Thank you so much. Well, my actual name is Griselda, but I put Grace because I'm from Mexico, and I use Grace for the fellow people I have in the US. Actually, I'm based in Mexico, and I have been in the industry of logistics. And nowadays, I actually taken a little break because of the pandemic. But I have always been specialized in this training and coaching, and I'm excited to be part of this program, also because it's in other country. And when I saw this kind of program, I really was like excited to be part of it, and I doing my best to be part of it. So maybe that's it.
Well, thank you for joining us from Mexico. You would be our first Mexican student, because we have a student in Japan. He's in Tokyo, a student from Japan who is here, and then a student in Canada. So that's great. Thank you, Grace. Justin.
Hey everyone, sorry, I'll make this quick. I'm in a public place, but my name's Justin, and currently I'm a people insights analyst at Amazon, and I've always cared a lot about the employee experience, and I really see myself making a transition into executive coaching and consulting in the long run. How can I influence that more in person rather from a keyboard? So I want to learn more about this field and I get my interests more grounded, if that makes sense.
I love that, influence through more than just a keyboard. That's a great one. I might have to steal that one. All right, Justin. Well, good luck in the public space. I hope they have good coffee there. So, Malia, is that correct? Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, hi, it's Maliha. Yes.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are doing well. I'm from Pakistan. I also graduated a long while back. I've done my BBA and MBA from one of the top institutes in Pakistan. I did them back in 2009 and 2011. I have been working on and off alongside my studies. Um, and I've always been interested in psychology and teaching, but I ended up in business. But I made the best of whatever cards I was dealt with over here. So I am looking forward to moving into education, university level education. Um, so I was exploring different options of whether I should do a PhD, which area, and I also was wondering whether to continue business studies or organizational psychology and stuff, or whether I should, like pursue and complete a master's in psychology all over again, or a bachelor's in psychology and restart all over again. So I stumbled across this and I was like, bingo, I've got it. This is exactly so like it's got psychology, it's got human resources, it's got education, and it bridges for me very nicely the gap between industry and education. So in the future, whether I become a professor or a university level lecturer or a student counselor or a career guide or a corporate coach or even a life coach, this is something I've got my eyes on. And I just found out this is very, very new. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's wonderful. And yes, I will say there are those that consider me a traitor to my field. I'm actually, my PhD is in industrial organizational psychology. So I do my best to blend a lot of, I think, the best of the field of psychology, particularly workplace oriented psychology, into the program. So I think hopefully it'll be the right mix. But I appreciate your broad set of interests, but staying rooted in psychology. So thank you. And yes, and you would be the first student from Pakistan. So we've got some firsts tonight. We're really, our outreach is spreading. I love this. So, David? Or just David?
Hi, Woody. Oh, hi, everybody. The name is David Ashiru. I'm from Nigeria. Why am I here? I've been thinking to myself, okay, what am I doing here? So I have a background in business UK, but I've kind of been in government, I've been in HR, I've been in real estate. And I think a few months ago, I just started thinking, okay, what's the future going to be like? And in staying true to myself, I've always said, okay, I see myself retiring as a leadership coach, leadership development expert. Over the last few years, I've done some leadership courses in Harvard, and I've been doing executive coaching. So in bringing everything together, I'm saying to myself, 3 years, you're going to be 50 years old. What do you want to start doing? This is the time to start thinking of what your legacy is going to be like. So I started doing some research. Do you want to do PhD? Do you want to do a master's? What do you want to do? Do you want to do psychology? I think one of those searches landed me on your page. I went through it. I was like, yes, this is it. This is it. Combining coaching, it's combining organizational. It's just consulting. Okay, then I actually I had a consulting firm providing business advisory and HR services as well. So I feel the program actually speaks to who I am. So you want to do leadership coaching, leadership development, executive coaching. You have a consulting background. You've worked with Coopers and Lybrand, now PricewaterhouseCoopers. So bringing it all together, this is what I think is you. And that's why I'm here with you. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I love it that you're coming from Nigeria. We just keep racking up our broader and broader reach. And the second thing I would like to say is 50, I would not consider old. Just throw that out there. It's my own personal take on that right now. But you're also not the first to come to us with us in mind as their second act or retirement plan. I actually have a retired entrepreneur who sold his, or in the process of selling his business when he came to us. I think he's completed that now. Oh, wow. So to go back and mentor and work with entrepreneurs. And he's a Stern grad from 70s, I think. So, but I appreciate that. So thank you for being here. Let's see who else. I think I've got Bruce. My Brady Bunch tiles have shifted on me, so I'm thinking, Bruce.
Yes. Hi, everyone. This morning, I'm actually in Seattle, Washington. The name of Woody Woodward is a household name in sports out here because he was the general manager of the Seattle Supersonics when there was a Seattle Supersonics that won the world championship. But anyway, I have 2 degrees in engineering, but I've never been an engineer, and you don't want me to be one. But I spent 35 years as a CEO of small to medium-sized businesses. For the last 9 years, I've been a Vistage chair, which includes, I have currently coaching 25 CEOs and another 20 or so executive leaders. I've this last year during COVID, I went back and actually took a certification program with IPEC to be a coach, help my coaching skills basically. I'm also in Stanford and Vistage have partnered with an executive education program for CEOs, and I've been a facilitator of that for 3 of the last 4 years. And I'm just a lifelong learner. My middle son graduated from NYU in creative writing and literature. He lives there in Manhattan, and I'm just trying to keep up with him.
and that's why you're gonna have to keep working for a while, right?
Well, hey, I'm going to work as long as my mind and body and family can take it.
And Bruce, Vistage, very cool, by the way. I was invited a long time ago as an opportunity to chair, just didn't have the bandwidth, but I am familiar with Vistage, and I think it's a cool concept and a neat program. So congratulations on it. And executive ed is an area that I've always enjoyed playing in. So congratulations on that partnership with Stanford. Very, very cool stuff.
Thank you.
So did I miss anybody? Did anyone sneak in while my tiles change around? I think Heather's a check. Do you think I got everyone? So let me jump in real quick, because I know I want to take a little time just to get to know you guys and then for you to get to know each other. And then let me try and do a run through of some basic background on the program. And then we'll take some Q&A if that makes sense. So to get us started, just to give you a little background for those of you who are not familiar with NYU, we are in the School of Professional Studies, which is one of 20 schools at the university. We are the largest private university in the US. And within the School of Professional Studies, we're in the Division of Programs and Business in a portfolio we refer to as Human Capital Management Programs. So in HCM, we have a traditional human resource master's degree, which is actually being redesigned and relaunched in another year or so. We have a master's in human capital analytics and technology, which launched a year before us. And then there's, of course, us, the Masters of Executive Coaching and Organizational Consulting, which launched September a year ago in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, which was always interesting, as many of you have experienced. We do have 3 campuses. I always like to highlight this, although we haven't really spent much time on any of these in the last year and a half. But we have our main campus is Washington Square Park, which a lot of you are probably familiar with, is sort of the iconic arch near Greenwich Village. We did have offices in Woolworth Tower. I'm not sure where we may be moving some of that. And then, of course, our main office and where my office is, and a lot of our classes are at Bryant Park, which sort of is from this view, you're kind of looking from sort of more right at the Salesforce Tower right there, which is Benioff's building, but then sort of to the right of that's the Grace building, and then we're the shorter one right there. Beautiful location, right, just blocks from Times Square. So let's talk a little bit about the program itself. So we have our fearless leader, so Anna Tavis, who is would function like a department chair. She's our academic director. There's myself. We have Mary Ciani, who retired from Korn Ferry as the head of mergers and acquisitions to come and help me develop our consulting practices courses alongside of and she also teaches those alongside of the coaching courses that I teach. And then Mike Valentine, who actually heads our HR program. So he's my counterpart over there, but he also teaches our research methods courses in ECOC. He's also the former head of HR for the New York Times, among many other endeavors in his life. He actually ran a manufacturing business at one point, and is also a lawyer. So Mike has great background. So we have our administrative team. So for varying reasons, you'll come across different folks here, like Lisa, who oversees all the administration for our portfolio programs. Nicole spends a lot of time with us in ECOC, and she's also helping out with our upcoming conference I'll share a little more about. Corey Faraday, he is our ACE academic advisor. I always defer to him for the complicated questions and the technical stuff, but he is here on the call and he will be able to answer some questions later, and he'll share a little bit about student experience. Chantal heads up our certificate programs. So we do have also certificate offerings aside from the master's programs. Heather's here. She organizes this among many other things and tries to keep me straight and on track. So she crosses all of the programs that we have in HCM. And then of course we have Jen here from admissions, very important. So she will share how the admissions process works, and she is the go-to for those questions. So I think as one of you mentioned it, we are a pioneer in the field. This is the first Masters of Science focused on executive coaching and organizational consulting at a major university. There have been other programs. There are other leadership programs with coaching emphasis in them, and other coaching programs out there that some have more spiritual focus than others, but no one at a major university has done this, at least to my knowledge here in the US. One of the other programs that was fairly prominent out there that did struggle and end up sunsetting, I had him on our advisory board. So we've learned from them as well. But our vision, just so you know, is to be more than just a curriculum and a master's program. We want to be a center for excellence. So part of the experience here and the ongoing experience that we're trying to build through not just our students, but our alumni, as we just graduated our first class of 12 alumni, and 2 more finishing this fall. We want to set a new standard for professional excellence in the field, because I do believe that the field of executive coaching desperately needs it. We want to pioneer innovations in coaching, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our involvement in the behavioral technology side of coaching, as well as continue to develop lifelong learners. Like we said, the span of age and experience in our program runs the gamut from beginning of career to late career. As I mentioned, one of our students is retiring from his business, so we really run the gamut. From a philosophical perspective, what does set us apart is we are focused on evidence-based practice. We are not a guru model. We are not a training-focused tactical model. We are looking at the science behind human performance and organizational dynamics. So it's not just the individual, it's also the organization as context. From a values perspective, I'm a firm believer. I've done this with clients for nearly 20 years, focusing on understanding values and the role of values and that they play. So we have to also embrace our own values and the values that we as a faculty, and my hope is our alumni, will continue to role model for ourselves, our students, and for those that we work with professionally. And that is a care and responsibility for each other, for those that we work with. It's a respect for vulnerability. You can't be in this profession without understanding how to create a psychologically safe environment, how to be vulnerable yourself. Purposeful curiosity. This is work, right? I mean, there's reading. There's only so much that we can share. We want to give you a foundation, but my hope for all of our students is that this is a beginning, not an end, and that you continue to be curious and bring more information to us than just what we assign, because every single individual in our program brings a tremendous wealth of experience and perspective, a lot of which I'm unfamiliar with, to be honest. So I'm always learning from the students as well. And our students are co-learners with each other and learn from each other. And of course, collegial collaboration, because this is about collaborating. Our projects are both individual and group, and we believe you have such an opportunity to learn from each other. And yes, unconventional partnerships. One of the things that we are doing to build a center is we are reaching out to as many different players in the space that we could bring into the fold who are credible and have a passion for human development. So that said, right, our belief in coaching is about being a thought partner, first and foremost. It's not about being a subject matter advice giver, right? There's a lot of danger in that. So we want to help develop you into those who can develop leaders, particularly in a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world. Helping develop and grow leader capacity, strengthen communication. From a consulting perspective, now this is where, how do you be a trusted advisor and subject matter expert as a consultant, right? As a coach, we want you to learn to be a thought partner, right? Not someone who imposes beliefs, but draws them out of someone. Now, as a consultant, how do you bring subject matter expertise to bear, particularly in how you develop a strategy, diagnose internal organizational issues, challenges, cultural impediments? We do believe that a master's degree has an advantage because we are focused on science. The first course you'll take in the first semester is the science of behavior and change. We believe that you have to first start with some of those underpinnings of psychology to build a foundation before we start talking about the tactics and practices of going and doing the practice of coaching and consulting. We are PhD full-time faculty. We are not a model specific training program. We expose you to lots of different approaches grounded in evidence and practice and research, as well as some of the models out there. My concern is a lot of the models, I think it's sort of the Tower of Babel. They're really cute, interesting acronyms that a marketer came up with, but they roughly say the same thing. They're kind of just different takes on goal setting theory. So we don't want this to be coach centric. You will have, I'm not the only instructor. We have a lot of instructors in the program. And the reason for that is we want you to have a diversity of perspective, not just one perspective. So yes, I think something that sets us apart as a program, the NYU brand is a very powerful brand, no question about it. And we lean on that heavily. Trust me, I do myself. It doesn't take long for those I quote unquote cold click out there for partnerships to get back to me. We are research grounded. We're also practice focused. Look, the School of Professional Studies is an applied school, so we are an applied program, but we have to be grounded in social science research. We are trying to innovate. We do bring a lot of guests into the fold because, again, I am a believer in bringing those who have alternative perspectives, not just one perspective. Because ultimately it's about how do you develop your own approach based on what you learn from us. So the program, it is a 12-course, 30-credit curriculum. So it's an accelerated one-year program if you go full-time, but it can be done in 2 years or slightly more depending. It is a cohort-based program. So we only start in fall and you start together. We do an immersion in Manhattan, which we were able to do this year, a partial one, which was exciting. Our first year we did it full remote. This year we did it half and half. So we do offer online. We are predominantly online right now, but we also bring folks together for in-person gatherings and opportunities to spend time with each other. We are aligned with the International Coaching Federation. We actually have been given the green light if we want to go ahead and get accredited. They have never accredited a master's program. It's really not in their wheelhouse, to be quite frank. I'm happy to field questions on that, but I've served on a task force with them on program accreditation. Our certificate program is fully accredited. From a graduate program perspective, we're still considering it. There are some different challenges there because a graduate program is certainly above and beyond what they do. So this is a lot. I know it's a big graphic. We'll make sure you guys have access to this deck. But this is just an example of what the full-time sequence would look like, right? So first semester, this is really 4 courses. So business communications and business strategy are what I call half classes. In other words, they're business communications first half of the semester, then you switch to another instructor for business strategy. So they abut each other. The same with our consulting special topics and our coaching special topics. So they're half classes, right? You take them in succession in the same semester. So 7 and 7 as far as number of courses. But you start with an immersion. And immersion is really about building a cohort and giving you an overview of the program, of the areas of interest of our philosophy, our backgrounds, as well as exposure to various different speakers to get us excited and going. Science of behavior and change, again, that's the psychology of motivation, goal setting, and how you assess, evaluate behavior and look at ways of changing behavior. Again, I said we have those special topics courses. First half is special topics purely focused in coaching, second half in consulting. Our special topics in coaching right now is being taught by David Lipsky. He heads coaching and leader development for Samsung. Our special topics in consulting is being led by Kai-Han Krippendorf, well-known business strategist, came out of McKinsey. He and I worked together a long time ago. So he's written, I think, 8 or so books on business strategy. So just to give you a little bit of a flavor, but it is a progression, right? We start with the fundamentals in the first semester, then we go to our practices courses, which is really getting into how to go about engaging in the practice of coaching and consulting. Mastery, I think it's a misnomer, but I can't get around it. It's what the university has approved. I don't believe there's such thing as a course in mastery, but it is the next level up from the practices courses. And then you do a capstone thesis. So in the final summer, whether it's your part-time, it's first year, or full-time first year, part-time, it'd be your second year. Before that, the semester before, you'll have taken research process and methods, which helps you understand the fundamentals of social science methodology, the basics, and how you would apply that either to developing a consulting project or an approach to coaching or an actual thesis research paper. It's up to you. You can do a traditional thesis research paper, or you can conduct a capstone project, which I typically recommend, something that you're working on with a client or something you're working on internally in your business or your organization. So for example, my 2 HR professionals with the Bobst Library developed and stood up an internal coaching program for new employees and actually got that approved. And part of their capstone was pitching it, getting accepted by their dean, just to give you a simple example. Again, this is the longer, more stretched out version over 2 years. Again, our ratio is roughly 60% of our students are part-time 2-year track, 40% are 1-year track. Again, it just stretches it out. We'll make sure this is available so you can always take a look at this. And the best person to talk about when you're thinking about this is Corey. Corey does a great job of coaching you through what makes the most sense for you when it comes to budgeting time. So why do students attend? I think you guys all gave some great examples of why you're interested in the roundtable that we did at the outset. So we have a lot of early career pivoters, those who are making a switch, want to switch from their career currently into a coaching career. We have a lot of second act careers. As I mentioned, later in career, either moving on from a great career that they've had and want to coach back to that career and help those accelerating in that same career, or those who are looking to build skill. We have a lot of professionals who are looking to take these skills back to their current careers and the current work that they do to enhance their leadership capacity or HR and learning development capacity. So that said, some people, they take this and continue on the work they're doing. They decide to hang a shingle, go be independent professionals. Some go to professional services firms. We have a great relationship with Korn Ferry and just replaced one of our students there. Or some go back to be internal coaches, which is also really growing rapidly. So that said, here's to put some faces to the program. So you guys got to see a collage of yourselves when we opened up. This is our first cohort. We had 32 students. Again, 12, really 14 in a matter of weeks, graduated from our first cohort. And we have 18 more that'll be graduating next year as second years. And we just brought in 17 new members of the for this year for the second cohort. Just a quick breakdown. Average age is 40, like I said, but then that's roughly in the middle. I think we have a great breakout when it comes to the diversity of the program. And we continue to make sure that we push for that, especially now international diversity, which I'm very excited about just to hear on this call. So we continue to work there. So with that, let me turn it over to Corey just to share a little bit with you about the student experience and sort of what he brings to the fold. So Corey, you could jump on, please.
Absolutely. Thanks, Woody. Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're calling in from, in the US or outside. Really excited to see all of you and hear from all of you. So just wanted to introduce myself in case you have questions today. I kind of address a lot of the nuts and bolts, and Woody said complicated. Sometimes the not so fun or the random questions is how I like to consider them. But consider me kind of like your point person as a starting point. If you have a question about your program, about the student experience, have an issue with registration, what have you, happy to support in any way I can. I have a lot of dotted line relationships, like with admissions, academic department, and other offices. So my approach in academic advising is to try and give you a little more personalized support in this behemoth that is NYU, 50,000 plus students, and help you navigate the ecosystems and get the most out of your degree program and grad student experience here at NYU. So whether you're a full-time or part-time student, I can help answer questions about the sequence and how many credits you should be taking, and also navigating other things, whether you're applying or after you get accepted all the way through graduation. So a couple things I wanted to highlight that you get with academic advising as part of the ECOC cohort is that we do offer virtual and in-person. We return to some in-person offerings. I'm very proud, a simple step, but an important one. I was doing virtual advising before it was cool. So before the whole university shifted to that, as we can see, we have students in all different sorts of time zones, and it was really important for me to make myself available in that way. So we also have support for international students. If you have questions about visa, travel, work authorization, our Office of Global Services is a great resource. And also, like Woody mentioned, we have a couple of alum from the ECOC program in NYU Library. Bope's Library is an awesome place to go, Washington Square Park, if you can in person, but a lot of materials, databases, 24/7 availability of certain librarians to help you with your research and inform your work in the degree as you become a consultant and or coach. And then also, we have a strong commitment to the health and wellness of students. So you would have access to the Student Health Center if you're in NYC, the Wellness Exchange, which is a 24-hour mental health resource, which is, I think, particularly important for some of us in these trying times that you can access virtually. And the university in our department has been pretty good about being agile, being transparent about the data that we have, and communicating any big updates on how we respond to COVID and other things. The other couple things I'd just like to mention is that this program is what you put into it is kind of what you get out. So I see a lot of different goals that students have coming in here, and so I think that's why, like in this part of the presentation, I try not to say, yes, this is what you can expect exactly. Think of us as, as Woody said, kind of being your guides and helping you start that curiosity. So feel free, whatever your professional or academic goals are, feel free to touch base with me in advance, and I can help advise on opportunities for the future here at NYU, whether it's joining one of the 300 plus clubs or organizations across the campus, or networking with faculty or other students in the program. And I think that's it for my spiel, Woody. But I'll be available for questions if anyone has them at the end, or feel free to type in the chat.
Awesome. So another thing when it comes to student experience, I want to share with you guys, we have a couple good touch points and connections to industries. So every year we have a March conference that we partner with the New York City International Coach Federation chapter. And we used to do it at the Kimball Center in Washington Square Park. Unfortunately, last year we had to, of course, do it virtually. This year, again, we're doing it virtually, as it'll be in March. So we haven't booked the space. Booking space was a little dicey for that early. But again, in the past, we focused on the future of work and a COVID created world. We actually, the last in-person conference I attended was ours in March of 2020, where our focus was on diversity and inclusion. And we had Nellie Barrero, head of diversity and inclusion for Accenture, was our speaker. And we had a great panel that included folks from GlaxoSmithKline, New York Times, and so on, talking about the subject. So we always get great folks involved and allow for Q&A. And of course, we comp of all of our students for that conference. But even more exciting, and this is pretty much news, that we still haven't really pushed or advertised yet, but we will be launching our inaugural Global Coaching and Behavioral Technology Conference in June of next year. And the focus of this conference is we are bringing together all of the major players in the coach technology space to really focus on what they're doing and where they're going with coaching. To talk a little bit about philosophically, what does that mean for the field of coaching? How do you scale coaching services and maintain quality, algorithmic responsibility, use of data? So we're going to hit on all those things. So that'll be actually at the Kimmel Center. We already have it reserved. And that's something, of course, that all of our students will be able to attend, as well as our focus audience. Beyond, of course, our students being there will be CHROs, buyers, and professional services firms. It's very much a B2B kind of conference. So we're excited about that. And these are some of the folks that will be engaged in that conference that we've already, that we either have great relationships already with, and will likely be sponsoring the conference and certainly in attendance. So we have a great relationship with Korn Ferry. As I mentioned, was on the phone with Mark Arian, the CEO of their consulting business last week. He's very supportive of all of our work. We even got to use a data room that they set up for us for our consulting practices course last spring, which was very, very cool. They also offered us an internship last year, which one of our students did, and that turned into a full-time job there. But again, we have lots of interesting opportunities with them. Bravely has been a very good partner of ours. I've gotten to know their founder, Sarah Sheehan, quite well. We partner on all sorts of initiatives. I'm going to share the scholarship that she has sponsored for us. We did some research work with Imperative. It's a peer-to-peer company. We got to know Aaron Hurst, their founder, really fascinating guy. ASUP, their founder, Will Fossier, has been in talks with us about some opportunities to work with him and to be involved in the conference. Ezra has been a great partner. They're a spinoff of Lee Hecht Harrison out of the UK. They're also going to be very much involved in our conference, and Coach Hub, coaching.com, I could go on and on. So we have really spent a lot of time in leaning into building relationships out there with these individuals. And that's part of what the conference has kind of come out of, is how we're bringing them all together. And as Wayne Gretzky would say, we're skating to where the puck is going, not where it is. And digital platforms and the digitization is definitely where it's going. So we want to make sure that we have a voice in where it's going, and that we also involve technology and the work that all these folks are doing in our education and to be thought leaders in the field. So I mentioned the scholarship. Let me give you a brief overview of this. Again, Sarah, who's just not only a great entrepreneur, also just a wonderful human being, offered a $7,500 scholarship for both our certificate program and for the Master of Science program. It is a competitive, awarded scholarship. They make the decision, of course, and it's the first scholarship in the School of Professional Studies that's focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really exciting. And we landed this in our first year of existence, which I think surprised everyone. So we were excited about that and their relationship. So now on to the important stuff that I know you guys are dying to know more about, and that would be admissions. So Jen, if you wouldn't mind taking it away.
Great, thank you so much. Just to briefly introduce myself, I'm Jen Hackelman. I'm one of the admissions officers on the admissions committee for the School of Professional Studies. I'm really looking forward to telling you a little bit more about our application requirements and deadlines. So our first slide we have here is for the fall 2022 semester deadlines. Applications are open for spring, or I'm sorry, not for spring, for fall, for international and domestic students. The priority deadline is January 15th. Priority meaning that your results of your admission decision will be expedited. So you'll be able to receive your decision in about 3 to 6 weeks after the time that you've submitted all of your application materials. The standard domestic deadline is July 1st, and the international deadline is April 1st. Here you can see the list of application requirements we have. So first, you'll need to complete the application that's online at sps.nyu.edu. Pay the associated application fee. When you're uploading your resume, you really want to I'd really recommend focusing on having you talk more about the transferable skills that you think you could apply to a graduate program here at the School of Professional Studies, as well as, you can upload a CV if you want, but it is more helpful to see the tailored work experience that you've had that makes you a good applicant for the degree. A personal statement that has a minimum of 500 words. We're really looking to see your understanding of the field as well as your interest in NYU and the School of Professional Studies. We also want to know who you are as a person, as a student, as a professional, what's brought you here, and what are your goals after you graduate from our program. 2 letters of recommendation. These should either come from academic or professional sources. As I've heard from a lot of you, you have graduated a very long time ago and have had a great long experience in the professional world. And so it's totally fine if you have 2 professional sources, or if you're just coming out of a program in academia, 2 academic references are fine, or 1 of each. Just someone who can attest to your abilities as a professional or your aptitude for graduate school will be very helpful, as long as they can provide specific details and examples of your aptitude. We also need your official college transcripts. Unofficial documents are fine when you're applying to the program, but if you're admitted to the program, you will need to provide those official transcripts. And it's really important that we're able to do that to just make sure you have a valid US bachelor's degree or bachelor's degree equivalent. Moving on to those asterisk requirements, if you are coming from a country other than the United States, or your degree specifically was from an institution outside of the US, you'll need to complete an official evaluation of your foreign transcripts. And so that just confirms that you have the equivalent of a US bachelor's degree, which is required for admission to our master's programs. Also, if the medium of instruction in your bachelor's or undergraduate experience was not English, you'll need to submit a TOEFL or an IELTS score. We have our minimum requirements posted online. If you, for example, had your bachelor's degree in a language other than English, but you have a master's degree that's in a language of English, that's totally fine. We can waive your English language proficiency requirement, not a problem. If you don't reach our expected minimums for the TOEFL and IELTS score, we may ask you to take a Pearson-Bept exam. You'll receive instructions after you submit your scores, whether or not that's needed. But those are the 3 extra requirements that you may need as an international applicant. So just something to keep in mind. Here's some more information about the scholarship and financial aid resources we have for students. So the federal and private loans, as you may be familiar, they can help pay for your education. I'd really recommend focusing on the fine print and the specifics of each type of loan to make sure that you're choosing the option that is best suited for you. As Woody mentioned, we have the Bravely Scholarship, which is specific to the ECOC program, which we're very proud of to have. But we also have the NYU School of Professional Studies grant, which is up to $4,000 per year that students can be eligible for as well. A little bit more about our financial aid resources. Here are some organizations that are helpful into filling and compiling scholarships for international students specifically. It can be a great resource. We do allow stacking of scholarships. We don't want to punish our high achieving students who are able to get a plethora of scholarships. We have a wonderful Associate Director of Financial Aid in our office, Linda Nichols, who is an expert on all things financial aid and can help build a package that supports your educational and financial needs. And then we also have merit-based scholarships for new and continuing students that are within our college. Again, Linda is an excellent resource for that, and she can help you walk through every step of the way to make sure that you're reaching your goals. Great, so now here is a little bit more about the payment plans that NYU offers students. So you're able to pay a portion of your educational expenses interest-free in our tuition payment plan through monthly installments. The deferred payment plan is similar, but it has a little bit different specifics. You can pay 50% of your bill at a later date, and the only requirement is that you need to be enrolled in 6 or more credits. If you're less than that, that just a payment plan specifically wouldn't be available to you. And then the NYU School of Professional Studies Deferred Tuition Reimbursement Payment Plan, a mouthful. we're able to work with your employer to defer the payment of your bills to the end of the term. Some employers require, your final grades to be submitted prior to them reimbursing your tuition, just because they want to make sure you're passing your classes or just want to have that verification that you completed those courses. So we're definitely able to work with you and your employer to make sure that all of the payments are processed seamlessly. You won't be having any holds on your account, because we of course want to work with students who have any type of financial aid available to them, again, to support their educational goals.
Yeah, and so thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. These are just some contact information if you need it. So at this point, Heather, if we can go ahead and discontinue recording so that any questions that anyone has, please feel free to ask those. What I'm also going to do is in the chat, I'm going to put my email address. So feel free, make sure that's right. So if you take a look in there, it's mmw12@nyu.edu. So feel free to email me if you have any questions. I'm also happy to schedule time if you want to jump on a phone call or a Zoom. Happy to make the time to answer any individual questions that you may have.